I never imagined a sunny afternoon at our own pool could turn into a nightmare. My daughter was just enjoying the water when suddenly, a neighbor's son aimed a gun at her. All over something as ridiculous as HOA. Rules. I didn't know his dad was the sheriff, or that a small suburban street could hide such dangerous power. How did a simple pool dispute escalate into life-threatening chaos? And could anyone stop them before it got even worse? Drop your location in comment. Let's see how far this story reaches around the world. Life in our neighborhood always felt safe, predictable, and quiet. My family had lived here for years, enjoying weekends by the pool, evening walks along tree-lined streets, and the occasional neighborhood barbecue. Our home wasn't the biggest or the flashiest, but it was ours, and that mattered more than anything. My daughter loved the backyard, the way sunlight danced across the water, and the small patch of grass where she could run freely. For us, it was a sanctuary, a place to unwind from the stresses of work, school, and everyday life. The HOA had rules. Yes, but we'd never had issues before. Fences were in place, lawns mowed, and noise kept at a considerate level. We respected the boundaries, never questioning the occasional letter about a minor infraction. Our neighbors were polite enough, mostly keeping to themselves, and life moved on in that comfortable, predictable rhythm. But not everyone played by the same rules or had the same sense of fairness. A new family moved in on the corner, immediately standing out with their loud voices, flashy cars, and constant scrutiny of everything around them. I noticed their son first, quiet, intense, always observing, but I didn't think much of it. It wasn't until I saw the way his mother, a strict, commanding presence in the community, would patrol the street and point out small violations that I started feeling the tension lurking beneath the surface. At first it seemed harmless, almost comical. A note about a slightly tilted garden gnome, a whispered complaint about a barbecue on a weekend. But slowly their scrutiny grew sharper, more invasive, more personal. And then came the whispers about HOA enforcement, rules that could be bent or weaponized, rules that, if pushed far enough, could ruin your day, or worse. At first, the disruptions seemed minor, almost laughable. A letter slipped under our door, accusing us of leaving pool toys outside past curfew. Another note complained about the angle of our mailbox, insisting it violated HOA aesthetic rules. I tried to shrug them off, thinking these people must have nothing better to do, but the letters kept coming. Each one sharper than the last, increasingly personal, like a quiet storm building at the edge of a calm sea. It wasn't long before verbal confrontations began. I'd be chatting with neighbors or pruning our hedges when I'd catch the same sharp eyes glaring from across the street. The new family, particularly the mother, who everyone in the neighborhood had quietly dubbed HOA Karen, seemed to take particular interest in every detail of our lives. Even the smallest misstep became fodder for threats. A flower pot slightly askew, a stray towel on the deck, even laughter by the pool at the wrong hour. Then came the fines. First, a small one for improper pool usage, then a larger one for disturbing neighborhood harmony. Every letter felt like a punch in the gut, as though the rules themselves were weapons. I spent hours poring over the HOA bylaws, searching for loopholes, but every time I thought I'd found a way forward, another arbitrary rule appeared, trapping me further. One afternoon, I confronted Karen directly, trying to remain calm. Her son stood silently behind her, shadow-like. The conversation began, civilly, complaints about the pool and lawn, but quickly escalated. Her tone hardened, words dripping with authority and barely concealed menace. The threats became clearer, and I realized how deeply their sense of control ran. Days later, the harassment intensified. My daughter wanted to invite a friend over for a swim, but the boy appeared at our yard's edge, glaring. "You shouldn't be here," he warned. My heart raced as I tried to reason with him, but it was useless. I didn't yet understand the real danger. Neighbors whispered that Karen's son had access to weapons, and that her husband, a figure of authority, could make life difficult. Every move we made seemed watched and judged. Even opening the pool gate felt risky. Then the turning point came. The son returned while my daughter played in the pool. This time he wasn't shouting, he was pointing a weapon. Horror sliced through me. Time slowed. I screamed, lunged, and chaos erupted as neighbors rushed to intervene. After that day, the power dynamic shifted. The HOA's petty rules and fines paled compared to the real threat. Karen seemed to double down, using her influence and her son's intimidation to test boundaries, daring us to respond. Even amidst fear, our anger grew. We documented everything, preparing for the inevitable clash. The day of reckoning arrived on a typical Saturday. My daughter played cautiously in the pool, unaware of the looming danger. Karen appeared on her porch with her son, their intense stares chilling. I waved, hoping civility would help, but her voice cut like glass, commanding and accusatory. The son stepped forward, weapon raised. Time slowed. Heart hammering, I lunged, screaming. Chaos erupted. Neighbors poured into their yards, alarms triggered. The street became a battlefield of fear and confusion. Karen's fury was unrestrained, yet the facade began to crack. Her son, no longer merely an instrument of intimidation, seemed uncertain under the sudden chaos. I confronted the danger head-on, demanding fair rules, documenting every threat. My voice didn't tremble. My stance didn't waver. Neighbors stepped forward. Whispers turned into demands for accountability. Finally, the sheriff arrived, reminding Karen that even authority has limits. By morning's end, the street was transformed. The confrontation left visible and invisible marks, the tension, the fear, the challenge to authority, but even in victory, uncertainty lingered. Would the harassment truly end? Life slowly settled. The pool incident exposed cracks in Karen's carefully constructed authority. Neighbors who had kept silent now whispered, sharing grievances and fears. Visibility and truth began breaking the hold of fear. The HOA, confronted with documented incidents and video evidence, had to intervene. Fines, arbitrary warnings, and harassment were scrutinized. Board meetings became arenas of accountability. Every petty rule that had seemed harmless now appeared as a tool of abuse. The community began recognizing fairness over blind enforcement. Karen's son faced consequences. The sheriff's office became involved. Intimidation and weaponized authority could not go unchecked. Fear began to dissipate, replaced with cautious relief. The personal toll was undeniable. My daughter required time to process the trauma. We rebuilt safety and freedom in our backyard. Slowly, laughter returned to the pool, signaling first signs of healing. Our relationship with neighbors transformed. Support came from those previously silent. Many households had suffered similar harassment, showing that documentation, patience, and standing up for oneself inspires change. By confronting the abuse, we set a precedent. Rules meant to protect could not be twisted into fear. The HOA underwent meaningful shifts. Procedures were revised, notices clarified, mediation introduced, and penalties for abuse codified. Power is only as strong as the fear enforcing it. When fear is challenged with courage, evidence, and community awareness, even intimidating figures can be held. Accountable Karen's family no longer held silent control. Their influence diminished, their actions exposed. Our family regained ownership over our backyard, home, and life. The neighborhood became more accountable. Though scars remained, we gained resilience and knowledge. Asserting rights peacefully but firmly can change situations that seem hopeless. As we sit by the pool, sunlight sparkling on the water, I ask how many disputes, rules, and moments of fear exist quietly behind manicured lawns, waiting for someone brave enough to stand up. Our story ended with relief, but it reminds us vigilance, courage, and truth matter more than fear or control.